That was your cue to applaud, to make noise. It's been a long, there you go. Okay, I'll keep the party crew down back there. Bring a little energy to the room. It's been a great couple of days. I don't know about everybody else, but I know I've been getting a lot out of this. I get up this morning, I see the world from a weld-centric view. Everything in my world is welding related. There's only two kinds of people in my world. Those who weld and those who give us a reason to weld. And so I get up this morning and I'm checking my stock portfolio and I'm looking here, get out this paper. This is some small-time newspaper, Wall Street Journal. And so U.S. puts brakes on oil trains. Yeah. Now the Canadians have already started this process. The Americans now, the federal government has signed it. You guys aren't even aware of it. All of those oil tankers that go up and down the railroad, guess what? Guess what? Tens of thousands of them have to be replaced and upgraded to a new safety standard. What does that mean for our conference? What have we been talking about? Welders, jobs, QCs, QAs, inspectors, CWIs. My goodness, Carl Peters over there, he's just salivating at the thought of all the sub-arc systems that they're going to get going. You bet. This is good news, everybody. This is what it's all about. Safer society and skilled people to make it safer. So then yesterday I get this other little tidbit comes through on my email. This is a legislative law alert. So President Obama has signed into law the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. All right. Bipartisan, bicameral bill reauthorizes the Workforce Investment Act and contains a number of positive aspects for community colleges. How many community college folks are here? Raise your hand. Super. How many high school folks? Great. We're going to talk about pathways in just a second because places a greater emphasis on career pathways and the attainment of post-secondary credentials. That's high school to college. So I'll be talking about that as my presentation this afternoon. Anyway, a little bit more comes down here and it talks about the community college and career training grants and calls for a new $6 billion, that's with a B, $6 billion community college job-driven training fund.
That's because TAC ran in.
TAC's in, that's right, it says it right here.
TAC
To succeed TAC.
Supersede TAC.
So anyway, and there's a hyperlink to the full report. But what you want to be aware of then is for Vermeer and your relationship with the community colleges in your area, there's funds coming down to help augment job training. So I just thought that was pretty exciting, and I don't know, I get a little goofy when I see things like that, and so so just before I get into the presentation, you gotta, if you haven't met me anywhere, then today's your day. But I've had committee service with some guys in the room here, and I've been low-cost labor, and I've been honored to roll cylinders and sweep up behind Ed Bonart. Okay, so let me tell you, that man is a talent, and just being in his presence is an education. But I'm from Arizona. I'm part of a community college system. It's a comprehensive program. Our welding program's been in place since 1967. It's our 48th year. We're all about academics. We're an academic-driven program. We just take it for granted when somebody comes to our program, they're going to learn to weld. So then the next thing is, what else can we do together? So here's some images of some of our students. We're an AWS student chapter. We're a Skills USA chapter. We've been involved with Skills USA back when it was called VICA. Anyone remember the VICA program? Yeah. Talk about how you can change or ruin a life. Depends how you look at it. I competed at the Welding Nationals in Birmingham, Alabama a lifetime ago. And I tell my high school teacher, Larry Lebsock, he's our director of early college. I always say early college experience. But Larry was my high school welding teacher. And he works at our college. He's a life member of AWS. And he's still involved in education. And we always joke about how he ruined my life. What a great educator, and to have an opportunity. We have a neat competition that I'm just going to share with you as part of the Welders Without Borders program. You can look it up. You Google that part. There's Doctors Without Borders, and then there's Welders Without Borders. And so, give you an idea, we've done training and education in Bolivia, South America, in Spain. Last year we did training with thanks from actually the Lincoln rep in Spain through to Haiti. So if you can imagine, I'm in Spain 2 years ago. I meet people who want to do something philanthropic. I have a fella actually from Decatur here named Dave Smith. And so he's going to Haiti, and we managed to get welding equipment and supplies down there so he could hold some welder training workshops. That's kind of cool stuff. But I just want to take a minute and talk about these images here are welding students at Welding Thunder. And so I think the IT folks got this link fixed, and I just want to pull it up because all of this drives to the theme of my presentation, which is pathway. So let's go ahead and see if that'll load up right. This is a student-produced video. I'll just let it run. These kids are at a competition where they have to start on one day to a pre-engineered drawing, make a project, the next day customize it, and then they have to cook off it for their team and the judges. Okay, this is NASCAR for welding students. These are totally portable shops, no support.
Two seniors, I think 3 juniors, a couple sophomores and a freshman.
It's really supported by the community, our manufacturers, our sales reps. Yesterday we had sales reps here from Bronco, Lincoln, Miller, ESOP. We had Victor Technologies. Vern Lewis was out here with our virtual welder that the students could try. They had a competition, so today we'll be announcing the winner of that.
To practice for this competition, we probably started about a month ago. We built a total of about 3 projects, which is a smoker grill that you see behind me. We took a lot of time just working on the different components and then putting it all together. Today went pretty well. Yesterday we finished all of our welding, and today we're adding our special components. And we look forward to cooking on our grill too later today.
We're looking at it, we're looking at the weld, we're looking at the quality of it, the fit up, and it really is impressive. I mean, some of the students are first and second year students, some of them are a little longer, but to see them take pride in workmanship, it really is impressive.
I'm Samuel Colton, professor of welding at Arizona Western College in Yuma, Arizona, and I'm the founder of Welders Without Borders, a youth-built philanthropy that provides educational opportunities for teachers to do extraordinary things with their students all around the world. We're in Cottonwood, Arizona today for the 2013 Welding Thunder. My concept for Welding Thunder was to create a venue like NASCAR for welding students, where teachers and students can come together, totally mobile, and demonstrate what American students do best: innovate, create, and build. The students at today's event are building from scratch, working totally off their engine drive welders, custom-built barbecues and smoker grills. But what they're really doing is demonstrating their skills that they and their teachers have been learning throughout the school year, and showing American industry that they're ready to build America and to build our future. It's exciting exciting to be here and be part of this event. And it's an annual event, and we hope people will join us for our 2014 Welding Thunder here in Arizona. Start your engines, that's right. You know, we got the Thunder concept from the engine drives, and so we get all the teams after the safety brief, and then we say, gentlemen, start your engines. And it's fully mobile. That was a dirt lot 24 hours earlier. Teams mobilized in from hundreds of miles away. This year it'll be in Arizona and also a California Welding Thunder. So how cool, can you just imagine 50 states then having a weld off somewhere like the welding show? Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. We benchmark our program against some of our best companies in the state. So just like a lot of you are doing, we're doing the same thing. One of our education partners is Cade Inc. in Tucson. They're definitely a high-grade fabricator, manufacturer, very diverse. So that's how we benchmark. That's who we have on our advisory committee. We figure if our students can meet their requirements, they can go anywhere in the country. And so we're really pleased to partner with them. Our students are just like students everywhere. I'm in the classroom 4 days a week. My fall schedules every morning, Monday to Thursday. I teach class and I coordinate our institute. Same things you're doing, same pride. I think the students have that sense of accomplishment as they move through the curriculum, accomplish their goals, and gain their education. So that's a little bit about us. Now I'm going to shift gears and talk about our efforts as part of a STEM grant. We received $4.5 million to work to upgrade our facilities. After 48 years, our building was tired, our technologies were good. But we wanted to move to advanced technology, to higher order thinking, prepare our students for that next level manufacturing. And so through that grant, we were able to develop a partnership with Northern Arizona University. And the Board of Regents in our state approved a new degree as a transfer degree for AAS in welding technology to a bachelor's degree in industrial technology management. Some of you on the front rows, I had some check sheets I was able to pass out to you. So this is a historic signing. There's our chief executive officers from Northern Arizona University and Arizona Western College, Dr. Hager and Dr. Glenn Maley, signing off together. So we're defining pathways as a high school program of study leading to gainful employment. A defined college program is also a pathway. So they either exit high school and go to work, or they exit high school and they come on to the college. That's where we pick them up. That's where they're going to either receive an industry credential through us, complete an AAS degree, or other training, or transfer to a university. The idea is that we have an articulated program of study. So that articulated program of study means that we've met with our high school counterparts, we've examined their curriculum, we've looked at the curriculum we have, and we've agreed that their curriculum is comparable to the curriculum in some of our courses. And we want to identify those courses so that those students can get a jump on their college education. So our local area high schools are staffed with excellent instructors. Most of them are alumni from our program. 3 out of the 4 are CWIs. So we have inspection, we have that kind of quality within our high school programs leading to our college, so why wouldn't we want to articulate with them? So students can pick up to 12 credit hours at the high school, and that bumps ahead almost a full semester in our program. National standards drive our curriculum. You know, I was fortunate enough when I came to education a little late. I was almost mid-40s, and so I went out to Hobart Institute. That's where I met Steve Houston, and Steve told me about the SENSE program, and he's been trying to educate me about it ever since. I think every time I see him, he tries to teach me something new, but we got it. You know, a national standard that would drive our curriculum, that would drive our equipment choices, that would drive our platform. We wanted something that was recognized by industry, that we could have a portable credential with. Something that our high schools could participate in so that we could start to establish some kind of a continuity between the high school and the college. And so that's where we started to drive in on that. So the use of those national standards have really become a leveler between students starting in the high school and then coming on to the college program. So the national standards, of course, help us meet a number of reporting criteria, and it gives us an assessment tool and a reporting tool, not only for the purpose of funding, but it also helps us let us know as a benchmark. How are we doing? And students want to know that. And what's nice about the SENSE program, it's a modular approach. And so it allows you to have that sense of accomplishment incrementally. Students really thrive on that. If you haven't been experiencing that in your programs, you want to start having that joy. There's nothing better than having students drive the program instead of you drive the student. And so adoption of the program certainly meets our reporting standardized curriculum decisions in terms of when we look at a book or a text, what we're looking at is how does that stack against the standard? How does that stack against our manufacturers and employers? We're looking at those items as a knowledge building tool because we're looking for skill, knowledge, and behaviors as we work with our students. And so the outcome then is, of course, the assessment. Is it consistent, relevant, and meaningful in providing reportable data? And what I mean by it being consistent and relevant, adult learners pick up really quick on the, see, I'm on camera, so they pick up really quick on the factor if it's not relevant, if you're spinning their wheels and they're not getting something out of it. So we wanted it to be relevant and consistent across the program, and then we wanted them to recognize the value of it when they left the program, and there's nothing better than to have a student go to an employer and say, you know what, I couldn't tell the difference. I went from school, I went to Vermeer, and I couldn't tell the difference. That tells us we're on target. AWS SENSE standardized written and performance test helps assure employers of training consistency and quality regardless of school location. So we're deployed across the 10,000 square mile area. We service 2 counties. When you looked at that map earlier from ITI, the west is pretty vast. If you've driven out there, you know there's a lot of empty space. That's why the dots were kind of spread out. That's the only place where there's people. But so you know, being where we're at, we wanted to get that consistency between schools. But you know, I might have a student that moves here, wants to live here, work here, go to Ivy Tech. We'd like to be able to have that student have a sense of portability and know that the capital they were gaining at our program was capital they could take with them and finish up somewhere. This program allows us to do that. So, you know, it's a minimal standard, and so it doesn't mean that's the only thing you're doing. And so you can customize your curriculum and your instruction and your delivery, but that gives you a foundation to reflect against, you know. I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, and there's a 20-year-old guy that is one heck of a good-looking guy looking back. So that's how I can use my standardized reflection, see? But I know I go beyond that. So use of the SENSE then establishes minimum program requirements. And what I mean by that is it's not just the curriculum and the classroom part. As you look at the modules, you look at the WPSs, you look at the tests, the competency, you got to have the equipment to deliver that. And then you have to have the peripheral tools. If you look at the Module 4, SMAW, as a student does a 2G, 3G, then there's a workmanship standard that's associated with it, so they have to have the tools and equipment to prepare that and then accomplish a guided bin test. If they're going to bin test that and the school doesn't have a bin tester, then you got to disconnect. And so the standard allows teachers and administrators to work together to accomplish the purchasing requirements that were really ultimately the goal of the Perkins program, was to get that equipment in place so that they can get the training and meet the standards for industry. Instructor professional development. 8 years ago, the Arizona Department of Education approached me about developing a professional development program for Arizona educators. I'm really glad I answered the call. This year I'm serving as the chairman of the Arizona Department of Education Welding Advisory Committee. But over the past 8 years, we've held workshops working to help teachers have some understanding of what the SENSE program is, and then actually having a hands-on opportunity to experience it. So give you an example here. A few years ago, we cut kits of all the weld performance requirements for SENSE so that we had the bill of materials there. So in a couple-day workshop, every teacher went home with a tacked up, and hopefully for some, but not all, but tacked up and went home with a workmanship example to take home to their classroom. Last week we conducted the 8th workshop. We really appreciate, Carl has a team out in Arizona, and they're pretty good. Can I brag about your guys a little, Carl? Is it okay? I don't want to embarrass you or anything. But anyway, we had a great workshop last week, and so to upgrade TIG skills, we used the D17.1. We got a WPS from Cade. We arranged with the ASNT Level 3 company, ATL Incorporated, a lot of inspection in our state. We spent 3 days TIGging those coupons, how to clean them, how to prep them, how to weld them. That's a visual inspection, and then it's an X-ray criteria of the 20 teachers that submitted plates. 15 passed visual and 15 passed X-ray. And we're very happy about that outcome. Those teachers will get their lab report, and that was a great motivator. You can imagine getting to go to a workshop like that, collaborate with other professionals. And so next year will be a very big year for us because we'll actually hold that workshop at the Cade Industries. And so if you get a chance, you can look up their webpage. It's a very mature webpage and get a sense of the work they do. But we're going to have a great workshop for our teachers next year. Well, what's driving that is our SENSE program and our commitment in Arizona. Annually, the Arizona Department of Education sponsors 2 workshops. I told you about one. The other one's called TOE, and the TOE is for new teachers. You know, teachers were a carpentry teacher, construction trades teacher, they're state certified vocational, so the welding teacher retired or left, and now all of a sudden, principal says, you're covering the welding classes. Well, that's a rough call. We also opened it up to ag teachers. So the ag teachers come, and we have a 4-day, all-day workshop to help find out where their skills are at, bring in other welding professionals, and work to improve their skills in a very free-formed program that if they're able to, they're also able to do a weld test and get a qualification. And so those are 2 of our what's becoming a very much an annual event in our state. So as part of this 2+2 in this pathway, we've established a year-round outreach staff. So some of you up front got cards. It's not my name. I'm not Wanda. But Wanda is our outreach coordinator, and so she's in the high schools regular. She's known. She works to help the students prepare themselves for their pathway to college from the high school to get them through hurdles. You know, sometimes the hardest thing you'll do is get admitted to a college. And so Mr. Lebsock, who I mentioned earlier, has developed these pathway charts. And any parent can get that and take a look and see everything that the student needs to do to graduate. And here's the welding classes. There they're articulated. There's the courses that they articulate to at the college. So the student has an opportunity in high school, a little bit of paperwork, they get a special rate on their tuition, and they're in a dual enrollment class articulated through to the college. One of the things we did then was we said, how are we going to deploy the SENSE? Because college classes at our institution run day, afternoon, night, and weekends. We're run 7 days this coming semester, 7 days a week. We've talked about it. We think if we were to start a class at 1 a.m. in the morning, that people would sign up for it that are coming off shift at the military bases and the other government agencies that run shift work that ends at 12 o'clock. I just haven't been able to line up an instructor yet that wants to come in and work the 1 to 6 shift, but we're pretty confident folks would sign up for it. Well, our degree programs there, and then over here what I've done is I've deconstructed the Sense modules into the classes where they fit most appropriately. And so again, the high school student comes in, and at the Sense Online we piloted it for us. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ivan. It's really a godsend for managing students as they move through instead of doing it by paper and pencil. And so we'll be able to have the high school students coming forward. We can import their module completion, pick it up from there, and keep moving. What we're trying to do is build a pathway from a vocational welding program to an academic program with a university pathway extension. Anyone can do it. You just got to start doing it. We started working on this in 2010. And you know, state politics, what they are, the bachelor's degree is a new bachelor's degree in our state. And so that meant we had to meet muster with the Board of Regents. And you know, when you start a program, whether it's at your college or at the university, you're committed to it. Once people matriculate to that program, you've got to finish that program, whether it's 1 or 100. Our cohort right now for the bachelor's program is at 70 and growing. And what's interesting to note is students that were coming to us before and just wanting to do a vocational certificate are finding they're having some success and they're staying in the program longer. So this slide here shows that we've got stackable certificates that are specialized in shielded metal arc, gas metal arc. We've got one here that's deployed around the Sense program itself. But all the classes are capital that builds forward towards that degree. And so the longer a student stays in, the more completion they have. And so if we can hold them online, then they get to a point where it's critical mass. They say, you know what, I might as well go ahead and finish. And we want them to finish that degree. We're a degree awarding institution. That's what we do. We have the terminal degree or what's called a non-transferable degree. So that was our old model. And we kept that in our catalog for those students who really say, you know what, I don't want to go to the university. I want an associate's degree. And so that's a pathway. The difference is in that the student doesn't do the same requirements for their math and their English and their other physical sciences as they would for the transfer to the university. They might take a career technical math instead of college algebra. And one of the things that we were talking about was the need amongst welding programs nationwide, and I just want to bring it up in this forum, for what's called a SUN. If you look over there, we have what's called a SUN number. So that's gaining momentum in academic programs so that your system unified number, regardless of your institution, is recognized and accepted as a cross-transferable course. So your college algebra, it's a SUN number 151, that'll move anywhere in the state. Well, wouldn't it be great if we could get more consensus on our numbering system for courses in welding so that we could have a national SUN system so that your basic shielded metal arc welding course crosswalks to my basic shielded metal arc welding course so that students can be more portable, because we are a very portable society. And this recession has really driven that home as people have had to move for a variety of economic reasons. But the difference with the general education degree, an AASGE, isn't in the welding. The students getting that same welding rigor. What they're getting is right here. They're bumping up into the English 101, the English 102, the college algebra. So what was interesting though was we have our institutional effectiveness report, and I get to go to that meeting and hear how our graduates are ranking on their exit. We have an exit exam as part of our college. And so our gal, she's good. So she puts up on the board the numbers for the technology students and the welding students. And she says, you know, they're scoring as high or higher than the math and science majors. And I don't know why, but there was almost a gasp out of that side of the room. And I had to point out to them, well, of course they're scoring as high or higher. They're your students because we're requiring our students to take the same courses as any math or science student would take for their associate degree, what's called an Arizona General Education Core, their AJEC. So our students are actually finishing 2 degrees. They're getting an AJEC degree, which a lot of you are familiar with. You might have had a child that got their general ed out of the way and then went on to the university and paid the real big bucks. And so our welding students are demonstrating what we've always known in CTE. We're as smart as the other pencils in the pack. You were just boring us to death with your methodologies and how you were teaching us. So that's what our AAS General Education degree is allowing us to do. Now you cue me when I get on time because I lost track, and so you're going to help me. I'm still on Arizona time. So here's our articulated pathway to the university. So you come from high school, you come in and get your welding degree, and there's no loss of credit. I've talked to some folks in the room, and they go, you know what, I finished an associate's degree, and then when I went to the university, they cherry-picked me over, and I wound up having to back-trench, another 30, 35 credits. That's not what's going to happen to our students because this has already been signed off as a seamless transfer to the university. So they just come right on over, and they pick up those courses that you would expect in an industrial management degree. So they're going to take managerial accounting and financial analysis, economic analysis, fundamentals of logistics, principles of management, supply chain and operations management, management for environmental sustainability. I think everybody's familiar with this, green manufacturing, capstone project in industrial technology management, current topics in industrial technology management, quality management, and Baldrige. But down below are those other courses that everybody takes at the university, those writing intensive courses in sociology, etc. So, wow, what a super deal. You're going to get, you're employable now. How many of you have heard someone say, I know a lot of folks with a bachelor's or master's degree and they're answering ads for $9 an hour. Well, our students already are competent in their craft skill. They're just adding more capital to it. So here's what the pathway looks like. And so we've developed that same pathway sheet. So for a student that can commit in high school, says, you know what I want to do. We just shortened up the pathway. You go on a long journey or you go on a little bit shorter journey, so you can shorten that journey up in high school, be focused at college, have all the fun, AWS Student Chapter fun, Welding Thunder fun, Skills USA fun. Then on the university side, they've created a club for those students also. So it's just really exciting to be part of this. I can tell you if you're not doing Skills USA at your college, rethink that. It's not as much work as you might think. How many of you are doing it at your post-secondary Skills USA? There's not very many of you. I really want to encourage the rest of you to think about it. Here's how we're doing it. We take our AWS Student Chapter students, our Skills USA students, but our officers are the same. If you're going to run for office, you have to agree to represent both organizations. So I'm not dealing with two leadership groups. I've got them tracking seamlessly. Now, the students that don't want to compete or do the other things with Skills USA, that's fine. We still have our AWS Student Chapter meetings and separate activities. But what I found was interesting was some of the students, maybe they feel they're too old. Our student body, right up into the 80s and 90s sometimes. Amazing. Well, they are super cheerleaders and champions for those Skills USA students. Hey, I don't want to do Skills USA, professor, but I'm there for you, fundraise. Some of these are mature business folks, doctors and lawyers taking a welding class. It's always great. They're very generous people. So I just want to encourage you to add that to your pathway as a value-added activity, and there's a reason behind it. This is our group this year at Kansas City. So those of you who are aware, you compete at your regional competition, you compete at your state's competition, then you go on to Kansas City. Next year it's in Louisville. And so when I look at our students, this year we had a silver medalist, and this young man was 11th last year. And so you know, one of the things is learning to stay with the program, stay on the pathway, and things like Skills USA and AWS student chapter, the Sense program, all of those are milestones that students can stay engaged with. So he come back this year, he had to win his state. And anyone who's familiar with the Arizona competition, Nick Peterson runs a pretty rigorous contest. So got second place. So you know what we're busy doing with that student right now is working to help him be as prepared as we possibly can to participate in the pre-weld trials. And however far he gets in the process, all of us are better for it. And so as I come across, here's our group of students that were on our fabrication team. And they got a bronze this year. But we've been out there. It was a new contest. We got in just a couple years late on it. So, you know, we've been like 5th, 8th, 11th, you know. This year, they were like the dream team because I never thought they'd make it that far. Got students that are married, new baby, they're working. But they got a bronze medal this year, so really validating. There's my high school welding teacher. That's Mr. I just got to point that out. He hates that when I do that, but you know, it's great. Well, this student here represented our welding sculpture component, and what was exciting is he's a Marine Corps veteran. He served our country. He's back at school. He's actually a pathway student. I got to know him better. Found out he had taken high school welding. And so here he's at a different time in his life, and he's coming back to us. That's how I like to think of it. Because there's us, and then there's those that give us something to do. So that's just how I see it. In terms of how we're stacking and gaining momentum in the CTE area, what we've done now is we're taking our model and we've expanded it out into all of our CTE degrees, and we're articulating them systematically to the university. So in some cases we've had to modify some of the degrees to make sure we're meeting that requirement so that we're building capacity to sustain the bachelor's part. We know there's other students that want to be a bachelor's industrial technology. We need all levels of people in the industry. It's not about exclusive or any one way to go. It's fulfilling our commitment to our students. That's how we look at it. When we're meeting their needs, we find that we're also meeting people who are in business, or going to be in business, or move a business to our area. So this has allowed us to build more capacity to sustain the university component. We come up with this graphic. It's kind of a cool little graphic. So the welding helmets represent students on their pathway to completion. And this could probably use a few more helmets, but we wanted to just get it across so the students see that every day in the back of their main classroom. Are you moving down the pipeline? That's the name of the grant. You know, I've worked some pipe, and so I thought, hey, how about the pipeline? We'll plug all the leaks in the pipeline, keep them moving forward. So the 50-yard line kind of there is their AAS. Touchdown is there on the university side. And we just got this year, that degree's official this year. So, but we had a student that knew it was coming. So he took a risk and he started taking classes at the university anticipating what the final format would be. So he's already graduated. So that's what some of the publication from the university looks like. And one of the things they're pointing out, you know, we had a presentation on numbers and job pay and salaries. And all of those industrial degrees, they're in the high figures. You know, we're in the 80s, 90s, $100,000 a year. You know, because if you're managing a workforce that's sophisticated with a tight supply chain, you need quality people who understand how to get to that bottom line. We're looking forward to doing our part on that for our students. How many of you are a parent that has or has had a child go to a university and you help pay for it? Because Mrs. Colton and I, we've got 4 adult children, and so we know we're now trying. I call it the Colton Recovery Act. I'm trying to make enough money so I can have a retirement, and so you know, I'm hanging in there, folks. I'm hanging in there. But if you look, our costs at our campus between our 2-year program and our 4-year program, you know, that's a significant savings there. That's $22,000 to a bachelor's degree, excluding housing. But just in tuition savings, look at that pie. That's pretty good. We developed for counselors. I had one. We developed for counselors a book. A lot of times teachers and faculty complain that the counselors are not getting it, or they don't know how to get the students into the right pathway. So and it's available online. So when you get the copy of this PowerPoint, you'll be able to go to that link, and you'll be able to get that manual, and you could share that as a model in your school or your college. But that's helping our counselors and advisors get our students into the program where they want to be. You know, it's nothing worse than a counselor that says, well, you don't want to go over there. Yeah, you know, I want to go over there. But they really, what they're saying is, I don't know how to get you there. And they don't always get to the faculty to save them. So that's a tool we give. So there's our model. There's our pathways. Built into all of that, of course, is the welder testing, the usual things that you would expect of any welding program. When you go and look at our check sheets and stuff, you'll see that there's a variety of classes. If you want to know what our textbooks are, just write me. We'll give you the list of what we're using. All our syllabi are online. Our degrees are all online. It's all accessible. We're a very transparent institution in that regard. Anything we can do to share, I'm not telling you that you should be us. I'm telling you that we want to all be us. And if we can make it so the capital works for our students as a national model, then that's a win for the country. I'll just share a little bit on the grant so you can get an idea of how it is to have such a dynamic program and be in the same building that was built in 1963, and how important it is to get these kind of funds in. This was a competitive grant process. We had to compete for it. Technology-wise, you know, we've got pulse this, pulse that, synergic this, synergic that. We've got sub-arc, resistance, spot welders. On the other wall, and I don't think I put a view of it, there's an entire machine shop, which is just for the welding students. They're required to take a machine tool. We have a new metallurgy lab now. Students are required to take physical metallurgy as part of their 2-year degree. Ed and I always talk. I still salvage the Pierre book, and we have a class on power sources. Besides my background in another life, I had a very heavy electrical instrumentation employment, but one of our other alumni, he's a authorized repairman for the distributors for just about all the brands, red, yellow, and blue. So anyway, we tear these cans apart. We use the Pierre book. We work the students through on electrical fundamentals, schematics. We don't really want them repairing the welders. What we're really wanting them to do is understand conceptually what's going on, because it's still volts and amps at the arc, but electronics has revolutionized how we're manipulating that. And that's significant to the weld quality that's coming about. And actually, in terms of the metallurgy, when you think of some of the things that, you know, they're actually using ultrasonic vibrations now and seeing how as the weld metal solidifies, what is that vibrating, just like concrete? What does that do molecularly and at the atomic level to change the structure for improved performance? It's an exciting time to be alive in welding. So this is what we looked like. Our grant is designed to improve the building, which normally you can't use these type of STEM grants for renovations. But our facility, we sold it as being so poor and so unhealthy for the technology that the grant allowed us to use money to remodel so we could house technology and advanced products. So here's an image of a simulator, and we're going to acquire simulators. And really, I'm not that interested in these devices as far as learning to weld. You know, that's a lot of money. You know, $50,000. I could have steel stacked pretty deep out in the yard. What am I really looking for from that technology? I'm looking for students developing higher order thinking as it relates to the integration of computer platforms and welding power sources. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm digging hard for. I know they are going to learn to weld. We've been doing that for 48 years. I want them to learn how to look at that screen, have a cognitive sense of interpreting the values they're seeing, operate that screen, look at the weld, and then translate that into the final weld quality that they're producing or that they're inspecting. You know, I'd hate to think you went to college or university and then you just wanted to just make welds, unless you really enjoyed that. But I'd want to be doing both. And so we see this as an opportunity to develop depth and adaptability, because the welding that we're doing now won't be the welding we're doing in 10 years. You know, I'd have to get Steve and Carl to give up some secrets, but they're working on stuff. So students have got to be adaptive. Our grant, besides the simulators, has room for fume extraction to improve the environment, to clean up the air. So of course we'll be looking towards some of the technology and fume extraction. Some of that process, you know, as a faculty, you only have so much control. Then the bean counters and the contractors get involved. It's very frustrating. You have your idea and your vision of what things are, and you try to influence it, and then you get to whatever, you know, hello, come on over, we're going to cut the ribbon, and this is what you really got. So hopefully we won't get any real surprises, but when you look at some of these power sources that are here, these power sources have software that are manufacturing management software that work with the power source. And so see, you're shaking your head, you know about that, you're a manufacturer. Okay, well, I'm an educator, I'm educating the workforce. If I don't have this and I'm not aware of it and I'm not utilizing it, am I really educating for the current manufacturing environment? And the answer is no. So if this isn't on your radar at your college, you need to get it on your radar at your college, because otherwise you're just teaching welding like we've been doing for the last 30 years, and welding's not. This isn't Grandpa's welder. And so our goal is to add a manufacturing automation cell. Our classes always have a project. So our students are challenged to develop a marketable product, build 5 lots of 5, develop all the QC documents or WPSs, qualify their welders, have their flow charts, have a brochure or marketing strategy, and they have to ship. For the group to pass, they have to ship. They don't ship, they get to come back. And it's very interesting to see outside of class work and who's motivated, and it's also interesting to see some of the products they've come up with over the years. But we anticipate integrating that automation cell so that the students would take our water jet or our plasma table, cut out part components that they designed in SolidWorks and AutoCAD, bring those forward, prep them, develop them, weld them, and then we'll dispose of them. And so that's what we're looking to do. That's that higher order thinking that we're trying to take our students through on this pathway. You know, you've got to have the breadcrumbs on the pathway so that you keep picking up one and then move forward and pick up one. We can't be a college high school program. We never have been. I finally had to let go of my electron beam welder. How many colleges have an electron beam welder, have ever had one? We've had one for almost 30 years. And we finally, after we had some folks come in and look at it, we made the decision to let it go. But I'm on the hunt. You'll see me at the welding show. I'm on the hunt. I want to replace that electron beam welder. So here's our footprint, and the green area has been totally ripped out. This is an aerial view. You'll see here we had only a certain amount of space on our footprint. So what we did was we expanded out, and the yellow represents new offices, new restrooms, a climate-controlled storeroom. Now, you don't have our issue, but it's 115 degrees at my house today. And so you store any of this high dollar, high value equipment, it degrades out in that heat. You know, I go to some of the manufacturers and they have the desert room, or they'll have some name for it. I don't know what they call it out there. I haven't been out the factory in a long time, Carl, but you know, same over at the other guys. And you know, it's 105 degrees and that's their desert test room. I'm like, are you kidding? You know, we think that's a cool day. You know, you got to step up your game, guys. So we're air conditioning that. It's truly air conditioned. The green space will become a refrigerated lab. So our environmental system has got to be able to recirculate that air so that the money we're spending to cool the air so we can run year round. Right now our summers are scheduled so we only teach a couple classes. Just the heat load in the building is just pretty impossible. So we're looking, when phase 2 gets done, we'll have a refrigerated, recirculated. But we're also looking to add this manufacturing component here. So this is another 30 by 80 feet of additional building space so that we can continue to develop our automation, our CNC, some Haas turning centers. So it's all, what we're really building here and have had is an integrated manufacturing plant that you just go to school at it. That's what we're doing, and that's what we've been doing. That's what has made our model unique in our approach. So this is labeled CNC room, but that's to be the automation room. This is where the simulators will go. These booths, where's that young lady that her family's got that? Yeah, your booths look like they're about 10 by 10. 6 by 6. Okay, we're putting 6 by 6. They look ginormous. I wanted 10 by 10. We couldn't get it worked out. What my concept was to have a 10 by 10 workstation to train and learn in. Not the old booth like we've got where you get in there and you make coupons. I want to get away from that. That's not adaptive enough. You go, if you take an AutoCAD class, you have an AutoCAD workstation. Well, why don't we have a welding learning workstation? So you could have all of that integrated technology. So that's what we've done. Those are 6 by 6, and it's not shown there, but what we took was the width of a pipe works in a power wave, and we said that's about the biggest footprint that we'd have to have, and we're going to have cabins in between each of the booths that accommodate those so that they're side loaded to the weld station, and then the cabling will go inside. No more cables on the floor, nothing draped overhead. There'll be gas drops in, 480, 220, 110. So these will be a 6 by 6 workstation with a test tree in there, little table. So we still do oxy-fuel welding and cutting, so we've kept that, simulation, and then the manufacturing plant. And that's really being driven by companies in our area like Ruger. Oh, you're not waving, you're telling me 5? Okay, thanks.
Will that be completed then?
Phase 2 starts on May. That's a good question. We didn't want to have to shut down the school. We felt it'd be too disruptive to the program. The other thing is we actually are loading one federal budget year into another. So we'll stage in with our contractor next spring. As soon as we go to graduation, they'll start ripping the building out. Because what you saw is going to be taken out. All the electrical comes out, all the disconnects. They've already put transformer in. So we've upgraded that, new roofing system. That'll all finish next fall by start of school in August. And so you're welcome to come to Arizona. I would not recommend coming August or September. Delay into October, November. Feel free to come. We'll be glad to host you and let you experience the facility. It's always nice to see what someone else has built. But let me give you an idea of what we did with our funding in another part of the college. So here's what we used to look like. Construction going on. There's our storeroom. We put a roll-up door loading dock. So, we have big pass-through doors. The sub-arc system, we're not always using it, so we can roll that system back inside. New roofing going on so that we have a high R-value roof so we can cut that heat load out. We've got a nice looking front, nice industrial look. We're still wanting to dress that out. You know, we're always looking for a partnership. You know, I'm always selling, as somebody once said, but you know, in our business, everything starts and stops with a sell. And so You got to sell it. Well, here's what our automotive technology facility used to look like. We'll be maintaining this same theme over to the welding because we're side by side and the automotive students are required to take welding. And so this is what our welding lab will represent next year. So that's the look we're shooting for. So when you come and see us next year, our color theme will go through. We'll have that look. General Motors has their desert test track at Yuma, Arizona, $200 million investment. They test Australia in season, North America in season, and GM Europe. It's built on the United States Army Yuma Proving Grounds. They moved it from Phoenix a couple of years ago. They've been a great partner, of course, for us at our college. But our dealers wanted that look, and we said, you know what? We don't want anything less for our welding program. We want our students to feel like they're in a world-class manufacturing facility, and we want to set the bar. Well, my time's right up. So I just want to end with this. We're keeping our commitment to our students. They're our customer. Our welding employers are another customer, and so we have to balance our students' needs and give them global skills and portability. Quite honest, when I got started on the Welders Without Borders thing, my vice president, when he hired me, says, do we really need all these welders? Do we need a welding program? And I was really mad. And I don't know if he was doing it on purpose, but man, I'm compulsive obsessive. So I'm driving around town and man, how can I show this guy how important welding is and how portable what we're teaching? If we're teaching at Yuma, I know. So I thought I saw a sign that said, Campesinos Sin Fronteras, farm workers without borders. And I thought, man, why not welders without borders? Everybody else has got something without borders. So that was the inception. Well, that led to another thing. Next thing, I'm over in Mexico for 6 weeks, welding at an international plant that does pipe, and all their products come back to the United States. And so it was a neat relationship, and it was an eye-opener for me. But then I met a fella, this is the importance of going to your AWS welding show. I met a fella, we got talking, and he goes, hey, would you come to my country? And his country was Peru. And, you know, you meet people at a conference, sure, yeah. How long could you come for? Oh, 6 weeks. I'm off in the summer. A few weeks later, I'm getting an important invitation, and Yusef is shaking his head because I've also been to Bolivia over the years as part of this relationship, but I wound up down in South America for almost 10 years in a row. I'd always go to the AWS test center in Lima, do my weld test, and get on the road. And they were building the Camisea pipeline at that time, and so it literally was a life changer. But the point was, my skills learned in the United States and my alumni, I'm an alumni from this college, were portable anywhere in the world. The pictures early on, I'm in a red helmet in that picture. I'm in Spain. I'm at the Lincoln Electric Distribution Center on a trip made possible by Miller Electric. Talk about relationships. And but the skills I learned were portable in Europe. And that's probably the one thing to end on, everybody, is what you're teaching and how well you articulate what you're doing with programs like Sense and the codes and the ATFs and all the things we've been talking about the last 2 days. This is where it's at. Who would believe those are welding students? If you didn't have the bags in front of them, you know, but those are our students. That's what we expect. When they're welding, dress like a welder. When you're not welding, we want you to dress like a professional and be somebody that we can be proud of and you can be proud of yourself. And so with that, that's where we're at.